Jibreel, he sends his salam to the Holy Prophet, and then he begins to weep. When Jibreel, he begins to weep, the Holy Prophet, he asks him, Ya Jibreel, why are you crying? And Jibreel, he replies, Ya Rasulullah, I'm crying because from birth, this baby granddaughter of yours will go through trials and tribulations on this earth. First, she will go through the trials and tribulations of being separated from you. First, she will lose you. Then she will lose her mother, Lady Zahra salawat alayha. Then she will lose her father, Amir al-Mu'mineen. After that, she will lose her brother, Imam Hassan. And after that, she will have to face the trials and tribulations of the land of Karbala. And because of those trials and tribulations, Ya Rasulullah, this granddaughter of yours, her hair will turn completely gray and her back will be bent. When the Holy Prophet told the Ahlul Bayt about this, about what Jibreel had just told them, the Ahlul Bayt, they start to cry. And it was after this incident, the Holy Prophet tells them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has named this granddaughter of mine Zainab. Tonight's lecture, brothers and sisters, is going to be about Lady Zainab and what not just the sisters can learn from her life, but also the characteristics that Lady Zainab showed, the power that Lady Zainab showed, the way she lived her life. These characteristics or these lessons can be learned for anyone. I speak about Lady Zainab, why? Because when you look at history, history says that there are two birthdays for her. One is famous, which is what? The 1st of Shaban. The second is less famous, but at the same time, it's just as siqah. It's just as valuable, and which is in what month? Jamadul Ula. Which day? 4th or 5th of Jamadul Ula. And because this is the month of Jamadul Ula, and the 4th or 5th was Wednesday or Thursday, then we should talk about this great personality. Why? Not just so our spirit can be uplifted, but so we can learn lessons from her life and apply it to our own life. What are the lessons that we can learn from Lady Zainab's life? A lot of us, we know about Lady Zainab's life only that part of her life, which was the end part, meaning the part of Karbala. When she traveled with Imam Hussein from Medina to Mecca to Karbala to Sham and then back to Medina. All we know about her life is just that part. But what about the rest of her life? What about before she traveled with Imam Hussein alayhi salam to Karbala? What was her life like then? You have to remember, brothers and sisters, when it comes to Lady Zainab salawatullahi alayha, a lot of us, not just us, the ulama, they say what? They say that it was Imam Hussein alayhi salam, it was Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam that saved Islam. If today, 1400 years after that incident, Islam is still living within the hearts of humanity, they say it is because of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. But if Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam is still living within the hearts of mankind, it's because of Lady Zainab salawatullah alayha. If it wasn't for the speeches of Lady Zainab in Kufa, if it wasn't for the sermons of Lady Zainab in Sham, if it wasn't for the azadari that Lady Zainab did when she went back to Medina, how many of us would still remember Imam Hussein alayhi salam? How many of us would still know what Imam Hussein did? The jihad that Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam fought is known as Jihad al-Asghar. But the jihad that Lady Zainab salawatullah alayha fought is known as Jihad al-Akbar. Jihad al-Akbar. Why is that known as Jihad al-Akbar? Jihad al-Akbar, what is that? Jihad al-Akbar is the struggle within the self. Why was it, Or why is it that, or how is it that Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she fought that jihad al-akbar? What was it? When you look at her life, at the age of 5 years old, in history it says that at the age of 5 years old, Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one night she sees a dream. And when she wakes up, she comes to the Holy Prophet and she tells him, "Oh grandfather dear," 3 years old. She comes to the Holy Prophet and she tells him, "Oh grandfather dear, I saw a dream last night." The Holy Prophet, he says, "Oh my granddaughter, what did you see?" And Lady Zainab, she replies that I was in the city. It was dark, it became dark, and it became very windy. And I was hugging a tree. All of a sudden, it became even more windy and the tree became uprooted. When the tree became uprooted, I started to hold on to 2 branches. "Oh my grandfather dear," then what happened? The wind became even stronger. Those 2 branches broke and I grabbed a hold of 2 twigs. And then the wind became even stronger and the 2 twigs broke and I fell down. And I was all alone, without any support. The Holy Prophet, he looks at his granddaughter and he says, "Oh my granddaughter, do you know what the interpretation of that dream is?" And she says, "No." And the Holy Prophet, he says, "Oh my granddaughter, that tree that you were holding on to, that was me. Pretty soon, I will leave this world and you will be holding on to those 2 branches, which are your father's, Amir al-Mu'mineen and Lady Zahra. What will happen to them, oh my granddaughter? They will soon pass away too. And then you will hold on to 2 twigs, which are Imam Hassan and your brother Imam Hussein. And that wind that gets even stronger, that you lose, or those twigs break off, the interpretation of that is that your brothers will also leave this world and you will be alone." From the very beginning of her life, Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she knew what was to come. And because she knew what was to come, every step of the way until she gets to Sham, she was ready to face all those calamities. When you look at the life of Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam, brothers and sisters, 2 famous names that were given to Lady Zainab. One is Banu Aqila. Banu Aqila. Second is Ummul Masa'ib, the mother of Masa'ib, the mother of calamities. We all already know why she was given that title of Ummul Masa'ib. From the beginning to the very end, she faced nothing but trials and tribulations. But Banu Aqila, what does Aqila mean? Aqila, the technical definition of Aqila is the gentle woman, or the gentle woman that is praised within the household. The gentle woman that is praised within the household. How much praise did Amir al-Mu'mineen have for Lady Zainab that she was known as Aqila of the Ahl al-Bayt? Aqila of the Ahl al-Bayt. 1, 2. How did she come about this name? What did she do? What were her characteristics like to come about this name? And what is the significance of this? Because this all leads to one of the major roles of women in Islam. A lot of the sisters, they have this misconception because the Western society has told them, keeps pushing it or putting it into people's minds, that Islam, the only role for women in Islam is in the kitchen. The only role for women in Islam is inside the house. That's the role that Islam has given women. But that's not the role that Islam has given women. If that was the role that Islam had given women, then Lady Khadija sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she would not have been a businesswoman. If that's the role that Islam has given women, then Lady Zahra sallallahu alaiha would not have come out of the house to defend her rights. If that's the role that Islam has given women, then Lady Zainab sallallahu alaiha would not have traveled from Medina to Karbala. She would have stayed at home. No. The primary role of a woman in Islam is the same of a man in Islam. What is that? The problem is that we forget what our primary role is. We get so focused on what society has given as secondary roles, and we end up blaming the religion for it. What is the primary role of a woman in Islam? Like I said, it's the same as the role of a man. And what is the role of man and woman in Islam, the primary role? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to us in the Quran, مَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنْسِ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created the jinn or the ins, I have not created human beings or the jinnat except that they worship me. The primary role of a man or a woman in Islam is worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The primary role is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when a woman worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and she's successful in that worship, the status that she gets, if you think about it, the Holy Prophet, he narrates that so many men have succeeded. So many men have succeeded. But there have only been 4 women in history who succeeded. Who are these 4 women? Lady Zahra sallallahu alaiha, Lady Khadija, Lady Maryam, and Asya. Lady Asya. If the sisters actually think about this, they always complain. The men, they have so many role models. And we women, we don't have many. We don't have any. No, you have them. But we have so few. It's not the quantity, it's the quality. It's the quality of the women that are your role models. If the sisters understood the value that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given these 4 women, they'll realize that in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if a woman is successful in worshipping, then her worth, her value in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is higher than the value of a man. What do I mean? What do I mean? In all of human history, the Holy Prophet says only 4 women have succeeded. That narration is accepted amongst all the Shia schools, of all the Shia classes. And there have been so many men. Tell me, if we look at value in the sense of economics, a thing that is much in the land, the value of it is less. When we think about economics, if there's more of a product, the value for that product is less. If there's less of a product, the value, the worth of that product is higher. What do I mean? For example, some of these cars, like these Bugattis, why are they worth $2, $3, $4 million? Do you all know? It's only because they make a certain amount. 20, 15, 30, that's it. That's it. Because there's so few in the market, their value is higher. All the other cars, because there's so many in the market, their value is lower. This is value from an economic point of view. But if we use value, if we use worth from a social point of view, if you live in a society that lies, if you live in a society that lies, and there's one person that you know for a fact tells truth, nothing but the truth, the worth of that one person is higher than the worth of everyone that lies. Yes or no? Why? Because telling the truth is a good characteristic to have. Lying is a bad, it's an evil characteristic. So the worth of that one person that tells the truth, in my eyes and your eyes, is higher than the worth of those people that are lying. Why? There's only very few, there's only one person that is telling the truth. So when you look at it from that perspective, when there are only 4 women in all of human history that have succeeded, and at the very least you have 124,000 men that have succeeded, then what does that tell you? In the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when a woman succeeds in worship, her worth in His eyes is higher. But how does a woman achieve that status? It is through ibadat. What happens to a woman when she embraces that primary role that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him? What happens to this woman? Why was Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam called Aqila? It is because of that worship. When a woman, she embraces that primary role, she comes to a stage where the whole family is known through her. What do I mean? When you read Hadith Qisa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when Jibreel asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who these people are underneath the Qisa, who these people are underneath the cloak, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reply? Does He say, that's Muhammad, that's his daughter, those are his 2 grandsons, and that's his brother-in-law? No, He doesn't. What does He reply? He says to Jibreel, Ya Jibreel, that is Fatima. Those are her sons. That is her husband. That is her father. The Ahlul Bayt have become known to the angels up in the heavens through who? Lady Zahra sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not the Holy Prophet, but Lady Zahra sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The same way, the offspring of Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do you know what they're known as? Lady Zainab, who did she marry? Quick history. Who was the husband of Lady Zainab? Abdullah ibn Jafar. Abdullah ibn Jafar was the husband of Lady Zainab. In the Arab culture, I don't know how it is in the Persian culture, in the Arab culture, the children are known through their father. Yes? Yes. But why are the children of Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam not known through her father, or not known through their father, but known through the mother? The children, the offspring of Lady Zainab, they're known as Banu Aqila. Aqila was a title of Lady Zainab. They're not known as Banu Abdullah. They're known as Banu Aqila. What does that tell you about the status of Lady Zainab? Everything. You should understand what this tells you, brothers and sisters. Even though Abdullah ibn Jafar was from the same clan, the Hashimi clan. He was also Hashimi. But the family lineage of that family line goes through Lady Zainab. Lady Zainab. The Holy Prophet. All the Sadat today, they're known as the offspring of the Holy Prophet. Yes or no? But if you want to take us back to the Holy Prophet, then we go through Lady Zahra sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Lady Zahra sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why is that? The status of these personalities, brothers and sisters, the status of these personalities. When you come to the life of Lady Zainab, what was it that she was able to achieve for which until the Day of Judgment, all of Islam has been saved? What was it that she was able to achieve? How was she able to achieve that? If you compare the life of Lady Zainab, the events in her life to the events of some of the prophets, you'll come to realize the strength that Lady Zainab had was more. The sabr that Lady Zainab had was more than the sabr of some of the prophets. The patience of Lady Zainab. What do I mean? When the son of Hazrat Adam was killed, when Habil was killed by Qabil, do you all know how many years Hazrat Adam wept? 40 years. 40 consecutive years he wept. He cried for his son. You look at Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she sacrifices her two sons, Aun and Muhammad, for the sake of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, but she doesn't cry one bit. Do you know when she cries? When Imam Hussein was martyred, that is when she cried. But she didn't cry when her sons were martyred. You see what? You see Hazrat Adam cry when his son gets martyred. You come and you compare this instance of Karbala and the way Lady Zainab fulfilled her trial and tribulation. You come and you compare it, for example, with Hazrat Ibrahim. When Hazrat Ibrahim was going to sacrifice Hazrat Ismail for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what does he do? He says, I can't bear to see myself sacrifice my son. So he puts a cover over his eyes. But when it comes to sacrificing her two sons for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, she comes out of the tent to make sure that they are sacrificed for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you compare her trial and tribulation to the trial of Hazrat Yaqub. Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salam, he cried so much for his son Hazrat Yusuf that his eyes became white, that he became blind. But there's no instance in the story of Lady Zainab where she cries even one bit. There's no instance. When you look at Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam's worship, what does the Imam of the time say about her worship? It's the night of the 10th of Muharram. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, he comes to the tent of Lady Zainab and he says to her, "Oh sister dear, never forget me in your Salatul Layl. Never forget me in your nightly prayers." When the Imam of the time tells you not to forget them in your prayers, what does it tell you about your prayers? That your prayers will always be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your prayers are definitely accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If they weren't, then the Imam would not tell you, don't forget me in your prayers. If the Imam had doubt whether or not your prayer would be accepted, he wouldn't ask you. If he had certainty, Imam, he'll have certainty about whether your prayer is accepted or not. If he knows that your prayer will not be accepted, why would he tell you to remember him? He'll only tell you to remember him if your prayer will be accepted. When you look at Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life and you compare her to other women in history, compare her to who? Compare her to the mother of Hazrat Musa. What does she say? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells her, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the mother of Musa, "O mother of Musa, we'll return this. Put him in the river. We'll return him to you." She had to be given certainty. But there wasn't such a case with Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You come to the life of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Ya Musa, I've had enough with Fir'aun. Go to him." What does Hazrat Musa alayhi salam reply? He says, "Ya Allah, send my brother Harun with me." But when it comes to the life of Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the way she goes in front of the tyrant of her time, You don't see anywhere in history where she prays to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, send someone with me. Nothing. When you look at the type of iman Lady Zainab had, brothers and sisters, you can tell that her iman was above others. Why? Because Amir al-Mu'mineen is known as Kulli Iman. When he is known as Kulli Iman, and Lady Zainab Swatalaha, she inherited, she studied everything on the lap of Amir al-Mu'mineen, then what did she inherit? That same Iman of Amir al-Mu'mineen. That same Iman. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Lady Zainab Sa'atullah, brothers and sisters, born when? 5 years after Hijrah. Some narrations, they say 1st Shaban. Other narrations, they say 5th of Jamad al-Ula, 4th of Jamad al-Ula. And like I said in the beginning, the reason I'm doing this because 5th of Jamad al-Ula just passed us, and it becomes necessary for us to talk about this great personality. But when it comes to Lady Zainab Sa'atullah, just from a biographical point of view, we know that she married who? Abdullah ibn Ja'far. Do you all know who Abdullah ibn Ja'far was? Yes, he was the son of Ja'far Tayyar. That's absolutely true. Who was Abdullah ibn Ja'far's mother? Who was his mother? No one? Abdullah ibn Ja'far's mother. The mother of Abdullah. No one? Who was the mother of Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr? Asma binte? Yes, Asma bint Umays. Asma bint Umays was the mother of Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr. Asma bint Umays, she first married Abu Bakr. After Abu Bakr passed away, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he was the one who married her. From Abu Bakr, Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr was born. From Abu Bakr, Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr was born. And then who married her? Ja'far married her. From her came Abdullah. From Abdullah and Lady Zainab Swatalaha, how many children did they have? They had a total of 4 children. Aun and Muhammad were the oldest, so they were in Karbala. The others, they were younger. And because they were younger, who was at home in Makkah? They have a lot of people that ask the question, why didn't Abdullah ibn Ja'far, why didn't Abdullah go with Imam Hussein? Why didn't Abdullah go with Imam Hussein? You have to remember, brothers and sisters, when we come to these types of questions, for example, they ask, why didn't Imam Hussein's other brother, Muhammad Hanafiya, go? He was sick. When you ask, why didn't Abdullah go? He was sick. If you ask, why didn't someone else go? They were sick. To be honest, if you delve into the history, it just becomes repetitive. And was it truly that they were sick? When you come to the life of Muhammad Hanafiya, yes, he had gone partially blind, and he was on crutches. What was wrong with Abdullah? Was there anything wrong with Abdullah? No. They say that he was sick, that's fine. But what was the reason? There were smaller children that were not going to go. He stayed back for those reasons. The same reason, for example, Lady al-Baneen, why did she stay back? Lady al-Baneen did not travel with Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. She did not travel. She stayed back in Medina. Was she sick? No. There are narrations that state that before Abul Fazl Abbas alayhi salam, he left with the caravan. There was birth in the family to a little boy. And Lady al-Banin, she stayed back to take care of that baby. So Abdullah, he stayed back to take care of the children. Lady Zainab, she had already told him that there was no way she was going to stay as long as Abu Abdullah al-Hussein was going to leave. And do you know when Aun and Muhammad were given to Lady Zainab? They didn't go with them from Medina. When the caravan was leaving from Medina halfway to Mecca, Abdullah, he goes with the two sons. When he goes with the two sons, Abul Fazl Abbas, he says, "Oh my master, can you please wait? I see someone, they're coming." And Imam Hussein, he tells them, "Can you go find out what they want?" And when Abdullah comes, he has his two sons with him. And he comes to Imam Hussein, he says, "Oh Mawla, can you please tell me where your sister is?" And he says, "She's over there." "Can I go speak to her?" "Yes, she's your wife. You have every right to go speak to her." When he goes into the tent of Lady Zainab, Lady Zainab, she says, Ya Abdullah, why have you come? You gave me permission. You gave me permission to go. But even now, if you tell me to turn back, I'll turn back. But I swear to you that I'll not stay alive. Because I can't part with my brother, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. I swear to you that I'll end up dead. And Abdullah, he says, "Zainab, I haven't come here to take you back. I've come here to give you something. That day when Abu Abdullah al-Hussein is going to need help, I want you to sacrifice on my behalf, and I want you to sacrifice Muhammad on your behalf. I've only come here to give you these two sons to take with you." That's when Aun and Muhammad, they started their journey. You look at Lady Zainab and you look at the sacrifice that she gave, brothers and sisters. How many of us would be able to stand up to the tyrant who did the same type of atrocities to us? We see our brothers get killed. We see our children get martyred. We see our friends get martyred. But then to stand up to the tyrant of the time and tell them, when they speak or when they try to belittle you, you talk back to them in a way that it doesn't seem like you're the captive. It seems like, no, they are truly the captive. When she came to Kufa and she gave her sermon, when she went to Sham and she gave her sermon, what did she say? When Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he tried to taunt her, what does he say? He says, "Oh Zainab, how did you like or how did you find what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did with your family? How do you find what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did with your family?" And what does Lady Zainab reply? She says, "Ma ra'aytu illa jamila." O Ubaydullah, I did not see anything except for the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all of this. All of these events that happened, I saw nothing but the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How many of us can truly say that we have that strength within ourselves? To be honest, as soon as a little calamity befalls us, our parents, our children, they become hospitalized. We end up questioning whether or not God exists. We end up saying, why is this happening to me? Why is this only happening to me? That's what you and I do. But Lady Zainab, she sees all of that happening. Not once did she question. Not once did she say, why is this happening to me? No. She moved forward. And that's the lesson, or that's one of the lessons that you and I need to take from this personality. Calamities will befall us. We'll go through trials, we'll go through hardships. But if we are truly servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we'll face those trials, we'll face those hardships the same way that Lady Zainab faced them. The same way. That is what it means to be strong. That is what strength is in Islam. During the Holy Prophet's time, there were two people that were wrestling. And they asked the Holy Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, which one of us is stronger? And the Holy Prophet, he replies, the one whose spirit is stronger, the one who does more ibadat. This contest of physical strength, the Holy Prophet turns it into what? A spiritual contest. In Islam, the one that is stronger, the one that is strong, is the one that's able to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way He should be worshipped. That's what strength in Islam. And when you look at the life of Lady Zainab, that is exactly what she personified. That type of strength. It is that type of strength, brothers and sisters, that you and I need within ourselves. If we want to change the world around us, then first and foremost, we change ourselves. If in our ibadat we're lacking, then it becomes necessary for us to do what? To bring our ibadat up to up to a level where at the very least we can say, I did my best. I did my best. And you look at the life of Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you look at her knowledge, for example. What does she teach us, or what does she teach the sisters when it comes to her knowledge? In Kufa, she was so learned that in Kufa, do you know what the other women used to do? They used to go to Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam for Islamic masail. She was so learned in Islamic masail that all the other women, they used to go to her. What is Lady Zainab teaching us? What is Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam teaching the sisters? Whatever you decide to do, be the best at it. Be so good that others come to you for it. They come to you for advice. There's this misconception that Islam, it wants women to be at home. No. When it comes to the sisters, you have personalities that you can try to emulate. You have Lady Khadija sallallahu alaihi wasallam that you can try to emulate. You have Lady Zahra sallallahu alaihi wasallam that you can try to emulate. Why do I give these two examples? Because of the type of life that they lived. Lady Zahra sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she was not a businesswoman. She stayed at home. Islam says that's perfectly fine. Lady Khadija sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she was a businesswoman. Islam says that's perfectly fine. But you have to be aware of the laws of Islam too. You have to be mindful of the rules and regulations of Islam, just like for men. When you come to the life of Lady Zahra sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when you come to the life of Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what do we learn? One of the things for the sisters to do is when you see that rights are being trampled upon, you speak out against it. You speak out against it. Isn't that why Lady Zahra sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she went to Masjid al-Kufa? To speak out against the right that was being trampled upon? Did she stay at home? No, she did not. When she saw that rights were being trampled upon, she went to Masjid al-Kufa. In front of all those people. Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what did she see? She saw that Islam was about to be eradicated. So she went out. She went out. Islam doesn't say that women need to be confined to the house. No, brothers and sisters, Islam does not say that. Islam never said that. Islam never came to do that. It came to give women the freedom that they truly deserve. Islam came and gave women the life that they truly deserve. Yes, did it put boundaries? Yes, there's boundaries in any type of society. But Islam says that these boundaries that we have placed, these boundaries that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed, these will give the most benefit to a society. You can debate about that, that's perfectly fine. But Islam, the rules and regulations, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says these rules and regulations are the most beneficial for society. That's why these rules and regulations are here. And you look at Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam, everything she did knowing very well what the rules and regulations of Islam were. She never did anything outside of what Islam told her to do. Not once. And when it comes to you and our life, it should be our responsibility to at the very least act the same. Try and walk the footsteps of Lady Zainab. Will we reach that status? No. But we will never know how close we can get unless we walk the same steps. For the brothers, we will never know how close we can get to Amir al-Mu'mineen unless we walk the same path as Amir al-Mu'mineen. Who knows, maybe someone can become the Salman of this time. Will they reach the status of Amir al-Mu'mineen? No. Someone will reach the status of Salman if they walk the path of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Someone will reach the status of Miqdad if they walk the path of Amir al-Mu'mineen. But it becomes necessary for you and I to first take the steps. Whatever is deficient in us, it becomes necessary for us to fulfill or make those deficiencies go away. And what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself say? Whoever does hijrat for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who helps him? Allah himself will help. Whoever migrates for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does this mean? Means that whoever takes the steps to trying to understand or get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help them on the way. And you look at the lives of these personalities, their whole life, that is only and only the only thing they tried to do. And you can see that it was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that helped them throughout the lives. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahus samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Please recite Surah Fatiha, brothers and sisters, for all the marhumeen. All of your marhumeen, all of the marhumeen that do not have anyone to pray on their behalf, please recite Surah Fatiha on their behalf. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. At the end, I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps us on the path of Amir al-Mu'mineen. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the strength that He gave Lady Zainab sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us some of that strength. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep the Imam of that time safe. And when he reappears, I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He blesses us. He blesses us with His presence and He blesses us to be with Him. Please once again recite Surah Fatiha for your marhumeen and for all the other marhumeen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah. before we dismiss, that we all decide on a topic for whenever I'm here. I'll leave it to. I'll let you. You let me know.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام ولك السلام وإلى